Hey everybody, it's Blue, and today I'm going to bring you guys our deck profile for our Titan deck. So Titan's character arc was kind of interesting, maybe not so much. So he started off, he was like a bounty hunter duelist. He had these fake shadow games, and they brought him in just to mess with Jaden, and then of course he ended up falling into a real shadow game and becoming like, I don't know if I would say he was possessed, but definitely not quite the same Titan that started off with the fake shadow games. Titan's deck that we built is an Archfiend deck. And I mean the original Dark Crisis Archfiends, not the number of monsters now which contain Archfiend in the name, and definitely not Red Archfiend. So it's the old school Dark Crisis Archfiends. The deck works entirely around them with a little bit of support. It's a fun deck, so let's go through and see how we built Titan's Archfiend deck. So 2 copies of Dark Bishop Archfiend, followed by 3 copies of Death Rook Archfiend. So all the Archfiends, for whatever reason, have the same cost that you pay 500 life points on your standby phase to keep them on the field. So it's very cost heavy to get these things out, and they don't all have a lot of attacks. That once you get a whole combo going, though, they're pretty good. And they all have kind of a defensive mechanism that if you roll a 6-sided die, protect them from various effects. So, Infernal Queen Archfiend, she actually gives them an attack boost. So they don't have as much synergy together as like later archetype monsters do, but these are Dark Crisis. This was a lot earlier on in the game, and they have just a little bit of synergy. Also, obviously, if you couldn't tell, these are all the ones that are focused around chess pieces. Like I said, there's a lot of other Archfiend monsters that came later. We did not include them because they break the initial Archfiend type with that, life point cost effect, as well as the chess theme effect. So this is 2 copies of Shadow Knight Archfiend. Hey guys, if you didn't know, we are now associated with TCG Player. So if you like to buy a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, check out TCG Player if you don't have it already. Use the link in the description. It supports us, while you go peruse cards to build your own decks or build copies of our character decks. Next up, 3 copies of Skull Archfiend of Lightning. So I thought it was cool when they made Summon Skull like kind of an effect monster. And it's kind of the big boss of the deck. Following up with 3 copies of Terror King Archfiend. So again, kind of going with the chess theme. This is the king of the deck. Has a little summoning restriction there. The overall 4-star 2000 attack monster, it really kind of helps this deck. So like I said, the deck doesn't have a ton of synergy between the monsters, but for an early archetype in the olden days of Yu-Gi-Oh, it wasn't bad. So, and then close out his last monster of 2 Vilepon Archfiend. So the monsters are a mix of, the Archfiends that he did play and the ones that he didn't play but are part of that early Dark Crisis archetype. The spell and trap lineups, again, feature a mix of cards that he did play and then cards that he didn't that we threw in that kind of support it. So first off is Axe of Despair. Great way to boost up those lower attack Archfiend monsters. And for those of you that didn't know, it is now considered an Archfiend card per the updated text. So why not? 2 copies of Checkmate, very specific, Archfiend cards. 3 copies of Double Spell, just because this is a card he used, and this is a very useful card all around. 1 copy of Mystical Space Typhoon. 2 copies of Pot of Greed. We've been littering all of the Shadow Riders, or nearly all the Shadow Riders, with Pot of Greed, just to kind of help them get going. Whether or not it was a card that they played, helps the deck get some traction, really helps some of these guys get their combos off. The last spell is 3 copies of Pandemonium. So if you do happen to get this, you can wash away that life point cost that kind of drags down the Archfiend archetype. That concludes the spell lineup for this deck. Moving on with 2 copies of Archfiend's Roar, Archfiend specific special summon from the graveyard support. 3 copies of Battle Scarred, some more Archfiend specific support. A card that was used in the anime. 2 copies of Call of the Haunted, just to give it a little bit more strength to this deck. The problem is because the monsters are kind of weak, they have trouble staying on the board. So Call of the Haunted, in addition to Archfiend's War, gives you more ways to keep them on there. Then you can drop out Terror King Archfiend, Skull Archfiend. Yeah. And then the last trap is 2 copies of Death's Counterblow. This kind of gives your opponent a little bit of a deterrent, a little bit of protection. So that rounds out our 40-card Shadow Rider Titan deck profile.
Thank you guys so much for checking out that video.
And if you like this, we have more than 100 different character decks on our channel. So check out those for more of the same awesome content.
And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you'll get notified every time we have a new upload.